4th, 2024 at 8:36. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Could I get a roll call, please?
Hendricks.
Here.
Ness. Shorten.
Here.
Here.
Van Raaf. Wagner.
Here.
Altoff.
Here.
Von Bergen.
Here. Can I get a motion to let Ms. Wagner and Ms. Ness into the meeting? Mr. Shorten and Ms. Altoff. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Now, can I get a motion to approve the minutes as presented for November 30th, 2023?
So moved.
Mr. Shorten and Mr. Hendricks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against, motion carries. Do we have any public comments?
We have none?
None. Great, thank you.
Good way to start the new year.
Yeah, how about member comments?
Just,
Ms. Alto?
just thank you to staff specifically for keeping us updated on all things that are going on locally, specifically with regard to the memo that you just gave us, if you want to address that. But I truly appreciate all of the contact that goes on via email to keep us in the loop about what's happening when we're not actually meeting. So thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you. Ms. Wagner, Ms. Ness, do you have any member comments?
Nothing from me.
I guess I have the opportunity. I just want to say thank you for all of the work that they've been doing in the past couple of weeks with the buses of migrants that have been coming in. I know it's really hard on the municipalities in the county, but it's wonderful that they're taking care of the people as they come in.
Okay, thank you. So on to new business. We have 2 interviews for CDHG. So our first one is online here. Mr. Pietrarosso. Sorry if I butchered that. Welcome.
No, that was pretty good.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for applying. If you would like to take a couple minutes and tell us about your interest in the position, and then we'll follow up with a few questions from the committee.
Sure. My interest sparked from a realization that there's not a lot of younger people my age getting involved in the community, and I just wanted to be a part and help and do what I can. I love McHenry County. I grew up here. I'm raising a family here. I like to volunteer. I tried to volunteer with the McHenry Riverside shops, and that didn't work out. And then I saw this opportunity, and it just seemed to be somewhat up my alley. I'm in the building trades. By trade, I'm in construction, so I might be of some value to construction-related topics. And yeah, I just really want to help and be a part of the community.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions?
This is Lou now. First of all, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have a cold.
No.
But I'm excited to see someone younger and engaged in the community and raising their family and making a commitment, step up to be on one of our commissions. So I just want to thank you for that, Alex, that and what you said. I think that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. How do you say your name? Is it Louisette?
Oh, just call me Lou.
Lou, thanks, Lou. And yeah, I just have a philosophy that I try to never complain about something without also trying to help with the solution. And, you know, if I ever have a complaint about the community, I have to realize that I'm not doing anything to help yet. So that's also why I'm here. It's just a matter of principle.
That's great. Thank you.
Ms. Altoff.
I'm just going to ask, I'm the old lady here, so the mom in me comes out. You are aware of how many meetings that this commission has per year, and you will make every effort to attend every meeting. We've had some issues in the past about people, applying and being appointed to boards, and then we never see them again. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of your commitment.
Sure. Can we go over that one more time briefly? Is that possible? We can get out. I'll get on the same page.
Yeah. How many times does the Community Housing Commission meet?
Good thing I walked in. About 4 times a year.
4 times a year. It's better to be there in person. This is one of those committees that there's a lot of dialogue that occurs between the commission members, and I would, really recommend that you plan to attend physically and be there in person. Otherwise, I think you're going to miss a lot of the dynamics that are important to this commission.
I agree 100%. I had some year-end deadlines at work that were a few days over on that I really just have to wrap up. But having some notice going forward, a little more notice, I should be able to plan ahead and take care of that.
Thank you. And again, I'm not yelling, I'm just letting you know up front so that you can make those arrangements. So I apprate that, Alex, very much.
It's a
Thank
responsibility.
This is her normal tone, yeah.
Does anybody
I have a
else?
question.
Okay, Ms. Wagner?
Thank you. So thank you for applying, Alex. I think, like Lou said, it's wonderful that we have some younger people trying to get involved in our community. So I was just wondering if you have looked at and examined what the commission does and how their decisions affect the community with their grant making.
So I've spoken a little bit with Kathy and more extensively with Hans. I'm not sure if Hans is in there today, but he and I spoke on the phone last week for quite a bit. And it actually sounds similar to what I did at work. We have a committee where we call it the Community Contribution Committee within my company that gets together and reviews proposals, requests for funding. Ours is donations, but a similar concept. We go through requests of, for funding for good causes. That was for charities and whatnot. And I understand that this is more community related with building grants and housing grants and whatnot. And so I'm definitely here to learn. So if you guys have resources that explain even more thoroughly, I'd love to read through that. But I have a general idea.
Okay, thank you. Great, that's a great start, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot as going forward. That you do know, what is your ultimate goal by being on the committee?
I don't really have an agenda besides to contribute whatever I can to help benefit the community. I just want to help. I just want to be a part of it, and that way, if things aren't going the way I want it to go, I can say at least I did my best.
Great answer. Thank you.
That was a great answer.
That was a great answer.
It was.
I did not. I swear I did not plan that.
Even better.
Yeah. Great. Any further questions? Okay, seeing none. Well, thank you again for joining us and applying. We have 3 positions open, and I understand you are interested in the position that would end 12/15/25.
2 years.
So 2 years out, great. We appreciate that commitment. And shortly we will be having deliberations. And feel free to stay online, or we will be in contact shortly.
Okay, I'll mute myself and hang out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Robert Reining. Thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Robert. If you would take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself and your interest in the commission. And then we'll allow for a couple minutes of questions from the commission.
Okay, I am a Lake in the Hills resident. I have lived in McHenry County since 1999. I have 2 children, a senior at Jacobs and a son that graduated from Jacobs. My interest in, I want to make sure that, you know, in McHenry County, we have affordable housing for our children that are coming up, because that's a big, you know, I don't know if it's a complaint, but, you know, for the young people to be able to afford housing. You know, and I think we need to make sure that, like, first-time home buyers and such have the opportunity to live in this great county. And I think bringing, you know, especially with the mass exodus of businesses from the state of Illinois, we need to make sure that McHenry County is known for being such a great county, and hopefully we can attract more business, you know, to come to McHenry County and keep it going as good as it is. So that's my interest in
Thank you.
being part of this.
Thank you. Ms. Altoff.
All right, Lou, I'm apologizing to you because I haven't talked to you about this, but I attended a little seminar by realtors, and I'm going to give you the politically correct word so you're way ahead of the, you know, rest of the world. It's called missing middle housing. It's a missing middle piece. There's no affordable housing. We don't like that word anymore, though, I guess affordable. So it's a missing middle where young people who want to start a family or who want to move out of their parents' home and don't want to move into an apartment or a condo, want a house, some kind of living. It's now referred to as the missing middle. And you're right, McHenry County has a huge challenge to deal with that. But that's what the realtors and the national level are now referring to, kind of affordable housing, is that first step out of your parents' home, whatever that looks like. But the missing middle.
Exactly.
I just learned that, so I'm sharing.
Does anybody have any questions, other questions for Mr. Reining?
I do. I see Lou's muted though, or unmuted.
We'll let you go ahead, Ms. Wagner.
Oh, okay, thank you. So thank you for applying, Robert. I'm just, question is wondering if you have reviewed what the commission does and how they affect the community by their granting decisions.
I've done a little bit of research to it, and I know, you know, part of it is, you know, oh, you got me on the spot here. I'm sorry. Like,
that's all right.
I know it involves. I was reading this last night, and I'm just farting right now. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
That's okay. That's okay.
What drew you to it? What was it that when you were reading and you were learning about it, what drew you to an interest in providing, you know, input and service to that specific commission? Maybe that'll help, you know, jive.
You know, growing our community is what drew me to it. You know, to be involved and to be able to have my voice heard. You know, and seeing that there's, you know, a huge shortage of community members that are being active in, you know, the decisions that are being made in our community, and that's what drew me to this. And I'm always open for learning, you know, and learning, you know, going into this. I mean, I'm sure there is a lot to learn in this position. You know, a lot of conversations and, you know, a lot of mentoring from, you know, you as a board members and, you know, the community itself. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We always, or all of us are always trying to learn. So I appreciate that and your willingness to jump in and help. So then just one more question. Just wanted to know, as she said, you were drawn to this committee. So what is your ultimate goal by participating on the committee?
To make a more affordable and better community for my 2 children and make them want to stay in McHenry County. A lot of people are leaving, the county and the state because it's not affordable for them to live here. Our taxes are through the roof, our housing is through the roof. It doesn't make sense for these kids, and young people to stay in this state and county to live. And, I want to be a voice for my kids is basically what I'm doing this for.
Great answer. Thank you. I appreciate all your answers.
Lou, did you have any questions?
No, no.
Okay, Ms.
Well,
Alda.
I'm not gonna leave poor Alex in the same position, so I'll ask. You are aware of how many times the commission meets? They're typically longer meetings than most. Hans, how long?
4 times a year, so it would be January where there's a kind of a 4-hour meeting or less. March where there's a 2-day meeting, depending on the number of applications we get. Those are almost all day. And then it would be up 2 more times that are less than 2 hours.
So I just want both of you to understand that, it's not a yearly commitment so much as a, kind of segmented, but long during those times that you do meet. So I just want to make sure your schedules allow you to make that commitment and actually show up.
Thank you, Hans, for mentioning that, because there are a couple that are fairly long, but it goes quick and a lot of good is done. So does anybody else have any questions for Roberts?
I do.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Robert, for coming in. We will be deliberating shortly. You can stay in the audience while we do that. I understand you're interested in the position that goes through 2026?
Yes.
Okay, great. So please feel free to stay, or if you need to get back to work, we completely understand that, and we'll deliberate shortly and let you know. Okay, so next up is deliberation. Could I get a motion to...
You want to combine or?
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to select Alex I was going to try and get it right.
Pietrarosso.
Pietrarosso.
Yeah.
For the term to the Community Development Housing Grant Commission with a term expiring December 15, 2025, and Mr. Robert Reining to the same commission with a term ending December 15th, 2026.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I will second that.
Mr.
I'll let her do it.
Hendricks? Okay. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, once again.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You'll have fun.
Let's see here.
Or you won't.
Well, Hans makes it a good time. Yeah.
Don't scare them, Lou.
Yeah.
And Alex, you're free to leave, I think, at this point, if you want.
If you, yes.
Okay, thank you
Or
guys. I
you
do
can-
have to get back to work. Do you mind if I stay on audio and just listen?
Not at all.
It's an open meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we've got the routine consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the routine consent
Ms.
agenda.
Althoff, seconded by Mr. Shorten. Okay, any discussion?
Anybody want an explanation on that?
No,
That was just we had created the contingency fund for transportation for the senior commission. And we were not able, because of the time constraint, to work with PACE to find an alternative. So this resolution just gives that money back to the original applicants who were asking for those funds to provide transportation in that northeastern quadrant of the county.
Definitely areas of need for senior
Definitively.
transportation. Are we going to continue to
Yes.
work on PACE?
If we do nothing else, a coordination of efforts amongst the providers of the transportation services and then many of the not-for-profit organizations that also have their own kind of transportation services, trying to work it so that we're not duplicating and we're providing the best services to the appropriate individuals that we can. So yeah, there'll be a lot of things that happen hopefully through this year. And then McHenry Township has stepped up and is trying to work with the other township and city organizations to coordinate and take on some additional responsibilities from those entities. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
That's great.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Is there some sort of task force or group of people that are helping coordinate all of that, Pam?
Actually, no, Kelly, it's just kind of being done through the Senior Services Commission as well as through Scott Henning in Transportation and Gary Barla of McHenry Township. He's the supervisor. So, you know, just as part of their general duties, they're working on better coordination. It's kind of a continuation, I think, of what they've done in the past, just more focused.
So is that focus more, you were talking about like the northeast or the north, or are they focusing around the county?
Just really right now on the northeastern, because those are the three entities receiving county funds to provide those services.
Okay. All right. I just know that, you know, transportation, I talked about this last meeting, is a huge issue for people who don't have a license or a car. It's just something I would like a focus on at some point.
Be happy to talk to you offline.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we will move to a roll call.
Wagner,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Ness,
yes,
Hendricks,
Yes.
Altoff,
Yes.
Von Bergen.
Yes. All right. Moving past old business, we are at presentations. So we've got a presentation for the mental health special retailers occupation tax and what it will look like on our website.
Good morning.
Thank you for
Good
joining
morning.
us.
It's a pleasure to be here. I usually don't get to come to this committee. For the members of the public who are watching, my name is Alicia Schuler. I'm the Communications and Project Manager here at McHenry County, and I was given the assignment of developing a webpage with frequently asked questions. I've been in communication with many interested parties who've already had questions, and I've tried to put together something that encapsulates all those questions and answers them in the most efficient way possible. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see it on the big screens here.
It's the same one you sent us, correct?
It is the same one I sent you guys. But it's always nice to see it big. All right, there we go. So you should be able to see that there. I don't know if there's a way I can make this bigger or not. But you can see the intro paragraph, and this is what it would look like to the public if we made it navigable right now. You can see that we've got an accordion, we have the full language of the question, and you can see the different answers that we have here. Would you like me to stop at any, or?
You know, I just throwing out, there was a conversation yesterday amongst several interested entities with regard to the referendum. And the first question that came up, and I don't know, I'm throwing it out there for discussion, was whether or not the cannabis revenue would be included. And my understanding is it won't, because state statute only allows the county to put up to a certain percentage on the cannabis tax. 3% is capped. We've done that. There's no additional room to add a quarter cent to that. I'm just wondering if that is something that we need to put in here, or am I complicating the issue too much? But it came up twice, and so I didn't even think about it. So I'm asking that, and Peter, I'll take direction. I just want to say I asked. Yeah, well, I was at the meeting, that's why I asked you.
When I got that question yesterday, I heard it a little bit differently than I just heard it.
Oh,
Because I heard it, yes, we are projecting with 6 cannabis retail facilities next year, we are projecting about 2.3 million in revenue from cannabis. And of that 2.3 million, right now, in the fiscal 24 budget, all that 2.3 million is projected to go in the general fund.
Right.
Right. So I was taking from your question, is some of that 2.3 going to mental health? And the answer is no.
No, that's what I'm saying too. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
We can't tack on anything. So the 3% is the 3%, and we haven't done anything to,
Now, you could decide, and not suggesting that some of that 2.3 could also go to mental health, but this extra quarter percent will not go on top of that.
it can't,
No.
right, it can't. That's what, and so the question was asked, and I don't want to complicate things because you and I are on the same page and we didn't understand each other. So I'm just wondering if it should be included, or if we should just assume and be able to say, no, it's not, without.
There was a question there, what items were exempt from mental health tax? I mean, maybe that's a good
Place to put it?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's up to you guys. I don't want to complicate things. It just, again, it was a weird thing that came up on 2 separate occasions.
I don't think it's exempt.
It's not exempt, you just.
You will get, it's part of the retail sales tax.
So
Is cannabis part of the retail?
medical cannabis, no. And I'm going through, there's a document from the Illinois Department of Revenue called the Illinois Sales and Use Tax Matrix for Common Transactions. And it categorizes all the different items that you can have. Leases and employment. We were actually, rather than doing a listing, we are going to link to this document because this would be the source that we would go to. People can make their own decisions. I'm looking at, I'm searching this document now, I'm trying to find it. But adult use cannabis and cannabis infused foods are taxable at the high rate. This is off the document. The reduced rate does not extend to adult use cannabis or foods consisting of or infused with adult use cannabis. All adult use cannabis, e.g. cannabis flower, concentrate, cannabis infused products, is taxed at the high rate. The high rate is really what the common rate would be for general merchandise. So this, and then there's a statutory reference which we can further confirm whether or not it has a cap of that 3% as you refer to, or if it is like you would buy a shirt, you pay that tax, and then the 1/4% would be on it.
I'm telling you that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that the statute with regard to recreational cannabis says you cannot tax more than that authority you are given, which is what, 3%? That's the top?
Yeah.
So we couldn't add another 1/4% to
You
that.
couldn't add another, but this is my
You
question.
can take-
Is it part of the overall, all the retail, from the hundreds of millions of dollars of retail? Yeah, I think it's probably in there.
So what
Yeah,
we'd like to do, could we look into that a little bit further and give you more of a definitive answer? Because I don't think we're prepared to right now.
And I guess I'm throwing that out too, because we'd have to take from the general operating fund if we were gonna do that.
Could I make a comment? Thank you. I think it's a great conversation. I don't think the general voter is ever going to ask that question. I don't. I think it's not a frequently asked question. I think if you're in a position of leadership in an organization, you might know to ask that question. But, John or Jane voter is not going to, I think the things that people say most frequently What's going to happen to my property tax, and how much money will this give mental health?
And food,
So-
and food and medicine. Yeah,
I'd leave it off. I think it does.
I'm fine with that.
I think,
don't care.
listen to this conversation amongst ourselves. To keep it simple, but that is just my opinion.
I don't care. I'm agnostic. I just wanted to bring it up because it did come up yesterday a couple times. So I defer to the consensus of the committee. I don't care.
Yeah, and Pam, it came up in a meeting I had last week too by one person. But generally, I haven't gotten that question at all about cannabis. So
I'm good.
So then do I
I
have,
think these are great. I think Alicia, I think you and whoever put this together did a great job on these questions.
thank you.
May I ask what the question was? I'm sorry, I came in late.
It's
About the
frequently
cannabis.
asked questions on the referendum.
Okay. And regarding cannabis, what was the question?
Oh, just whether or not that would be included in the sales tax revenue for mental health. And the easy answer is no, but yeah,
So
I
then
can say I asked.
do I have consensus for the committee to make this a public facing document then?
Yeah, just a
think
quick
Oh,
question.
yes.
Is there going to be a link where folks can submit additional questions?
I did not put a link in for that. I was hoping that it would be something that would come from board members. So as you guys hear things that are coming in additionally, or as we hear things coming in additionally, we can place them up there. If you would like to do that in a different way, we can.
I think that's the same thing. I think if you open the door to asking additional questions, you're gonna get into more trouble than not.
Sure.
That doesn't mean this can't be a living document. And as you hear more questions from your constituents, we can refine those questions, get good, solid, unquestionable answers. But we were a little bit concerned about, I asked the same question like I asked, but we were a little bit concerned about getting the same question from 35 people in
Right.
35 slightly different
Having to
ways, and then we're answering it.
Right.
Well, and I think, early voting starts February 3rd, so we have a very short window. I would keep it very simple and lean that's, I would.
So do you have a motion?
All right, do we need a motion to?
I'll make a
To
motion
move
to
forward?
approve this document as presented and place it on the county's website.
Mr. Shorten seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed?
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your
Thank you.
assistance today. We will have a press release go out on this as well, so to increase awareness of this website.
And hopefully we can get the weekend edition.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as always, if
Thank you,
there's any
Alicia.
questions, send them over to us, and we'll compile them.
All right.
Great.
Will do. Okay, reports. Do we have any reports for workforce housing?
Lou, do you want to do that or are you limited?
Go ahead, Pam.
Actually, the last meeting we had was kind of the wrap-up of providing information. So what we did is we just kind of went over, Lou asked the question, what did you learn that you didn't expect to know? Which was extraordinarily, provided a very vibrant conversation. And we did denote facts and information that we thought all of you would be interested to include in the white paper. So what's anticipated next is perhaps to have some of our business community come in and hear what we've compiled and respond to that, and then to come up with a template, again, for more committee input on what the document will actually look like and what information and where we'll put it within the white paper. And then I think some pretty decent recommendations for a phase 2 that all of you will consider and see whether or not you're in step. But again, I'm laughing because Lou didn't know I did this, but that missing middle, I think you're going to hear, that's going to be kind of the federal description of what we're talking about, which is that housing that people are looking for that right now many places don't have because everything is just too unaffordable. So
two are looking.
Ask a quick question, Pam.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we have switched in our wording to workforce housing instead of affordable housing. So just wondering how the realtors, do they use that term, or what terms do they use?
Well, it's funny, there's 3 types of affordable housing, workforce housing is one of them. So they kind of use all terms depending upon what they're talking about. But that's what this seminar kind of was, is how to reframe the issue so that people understand exactly what it is that everyone is talking about. And that's kind of coming down from a federal perspective, is to use that new term. We change terms all the time, that description. But that's what realtors are being told that they should use moving forward, is that missing middle.
I get that. Sorry, I guess I wasn't clear. So when we're talking about affordable housing, like the workforce housing and having something that people need who fall below the median income, are they calling that one affordable housing still, or are they changing to workforce housing?
No, they're still calling it affordable. Oh, go ahead, Lou.
If you think about housing on a continuum from what we consider subsidized, which falls under the COC, to when a person dies and ends up in a nursing home, housing, how we speak about it is different in each section. This housing that we're talking about, though it would only be successful if it gets county, state, and federal dollars to support the development. It's not subsidized housing. These are people who live and work in your community. And as someone said to me, no matter what you call it, it's low income housing. And I can't debate that. We're talking about people who don't earn the same level of wage. It's important for them to have housing that stays at 30%, whatever that looks like. We target working people. That's what we targeted. Not people at the other end of the housing continuum. So you can call it middle, you can call it workforce. We know that we're looking at people who work and want to live in this county, like our 2 commissioners, like retaining younger families to be here. If we don't have housing that meets that 30%, they can't live here. That's our target. Am I correct, Pam, in that?
I've been nodding my head the whole time you've been talking. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if they found,
so they're all kind of interchangeable.
Well, they're on a continuum.
Well,
it's
right.
If you don't work, it's important for you to live in a safe, decent place that you can live in and afford your life, whatever that looks like. This is the next, I guess this is a different segment of the population. It's not saying there's anything wrong with people that get support to live in their homes. It is the language we use to talk about housing. Safe, decent housing that people can afford to live in and work here, or live in and be here. And it looks very different along the housing continuum. And we have grappled with language. We've grappled with the language, but the stereotype attaches itself no matter what you say. And that is part of the challenge of the workforce group.
Did I hear you talk about some community input? What does that look like? How will that be put out there?
The idea is to start assisting other communities, elected officials in providing narratives as to what it is that we're trying to do. And I don't know what that will look like. I think that's phase 2 with input from board members. It will be part of the next kind of phase where we think we need to go. So I think honestly, I want to reassure people we've done very little moving forward out in the community until this committee and the county board sees what we've done and what we've worked on and then gives us input as to where to go and who you want to drive that message, et cetera.
Shailen has
Yes.
periodically gathered the community development people and planners, and we're going to next meet on January 26th. And that group knows that the the workforce housing task force has been meeting and
They participated at some level.
Mm-hmm. They're expecting kind of a next step and kind of a handoff. These are some of the best practices, and you are the people that are going to have to implement it.
And they all are. I mean, again, I have been talking to many of those communities, and they all are recognizing the fact that that's a challenge, and all communities need to find some opportunities. So again, you'll see some of those recommendations and where it needs to go.
And I would like to add that we have really held people in place, not rushing to solutions, not rushing to fix, that we take our time and gather our information. It can be, people want to be in action, and this is action. And so, we are, and I've been very good about not rushing to step 10 before we finish step 5. And so when we come to you with recommendations, it will have been thought through by all of the council members on the workforce work group.
You'll have opportunities for input. I mean, that's the most important part, right? We bring you a draft and say, this is what, and then you can do whatever changes, revisions, modifications, questioning. So yeah, before it becomes public and before it goes out to the community.
Okay. Any questions?
I want to just thank this committee for giving us permission to move forward with this effort, because it's been excellent, and the staff support has just been great. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Member Ness and Alta, for taking this on. We've all recognized that it is a huge issue within the county, regardless what you call it.
Well put.
So I just, thank you for taking that on and coming
Right
up
to the heart of the matter.
with a good conversation. Okay, so moving on, are there any future topics? At the top of my list is always senior transportation. And, I think moving forward, that's something that we can talk at great length on. And I appreciate the senior transportation that was approved to McHenry Township, the village of Hebron, and Richmond Township. Those are areas that are really challenged with getting transportation to go anywhere. And, me living in Hebron, I have to drive to go anywhere. There is nothing within, less than 15, 20 minutes. And there are a lot of people that are in that situation. And, with our senior growth in the rural areas, it's more important than ever to really focus on that.
We talk about affordable housing for younger people. We work very hard in McHenry County to keep our seniors here and keep them in their homes. And one of the things you have to do is also consider transportation and how they get to where they need to be after they've lost a driver's license or don't have the ability to have a car anymore. So you're right. You're absolutely dead right.
Owning a car is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Probably something they don't need.
Yeah.
Were there any other? Go ahead, Lou.
Yes, I would like to see some work done on how the mental health board is going to address vital services that are no longer available in this county. I'm curious what it cost us to send people out of the county for inpatient psychiatric care. I know the tax levy will not give them enough money to consider a psych unit for adolescents, but I would like to hear from them on, have they done any work? Do they have any ideas? I would like that.
If you're gonna, can I add to that then, please? If you're gonna do that, then I'd also ask them to make a presentation on what their strategic plan is for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna come and talk about one thing, they might as well make it a little bit broader for all of us to understand. So I would ask for that.
Right. Do they don't really come before us on a yearly basis with presentations? It's
aware of.
mostly kind of as new members come on.
Certainly, every other year when we have new members seated, we would get that overview, but there's no problem whatsoever if we want to ask for kind of a.
Well, yeah, and I
strategic plan
think
overview.
moving forward, and maybe we do it after March. Because
After the
then I
referendum?
think, then I think they'll have a clearer idea as to,
April, May timeframe.
yeah.
And I think our liaison should be invited to be there as well, so that she can hear some of the concerns better.
All of the new members were given invitations to come and meet with Leo and Connie. And so my presentation was from them. The meeting, I would say, lasted an hour and a half. So it was very comprehensive. They went over everything. So I know they extended that to all of the new board members. I don't know if everyone took them up on that, but I certainly did.
Well, my question is, and I don't mind doing the 3 to 5 year, the tax levy gives them enough to stabilize the system, but not to grow it. I would like to hear, have they had conversations with Northwestern, with Ascension? What can we do as public health to support growth in that community without the kind of funding that it takes to set up? That's what I want to know. What are they going to do to create growth when they are not going to have money for growth? That's my question. And maybe I just go to them by myself and ask them that. But I think when we're talking about mental health services community-wide, so Pam, I like the 3 to 5 year strategic plan thing, but I have some very specific questions for them.
I hear you. Yeah.
Should be addressed, I believe.
Those are, future plans and what, I agree. I just figure if they're here, they might as well give us the whole scope.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are we with our COVID survey update report? Didn't Public Health command a report to kind of evaluate what we did and where we need to go? Is that in process? Because I was going to say, as soon as that's done, I'd like them to come to Public Health.
Yeah, so the after action report that I think was requested, we actually went out to bid to bring a contractor to look for a consultant to develop that, and unfortunately the bids did not come in to anything that we thought would be appropriate based on cost and based on approach. We looked at this, and EMA actually we have a fresh set of eyes on EMA, and the thought was just to take what has been done, because there are a lot of after action reports already compiled,
right,
and to assemble those into, I think, really what has been requested from the county, to aggregate that information based on the county's response. We can't report on anybody else's response. We can only focus on the county and then develop that. So that's actually what we're going to do. We pivoted to do an internal as opposed to having a consultant help us. And that's,
when can I ask when you anticipate that to?
I can't respond to that now, but let me get back.
Just future topics when that's done or halfway or whatever you feel is appropriate. I would like the committee to hear.
We talked through this a few times with David and Melissa. We kind of, thank you, Scott, for reminding me. Brooke Lloyd is our new assistant director, EMA. She wasn't here. She wasn't here.
I know.
And
I love her.
she has that
She got
perspective
it.
of not having been through any of the tough meetings with nursing, any of the tough meetings with public health, any of the tough meetings with mayors or police chiefs or EMA. She just has a kind of a.
Right, yeah. So that's, I mean, that's excellent.
Yeah. So we'll follow up with her and find out where we are.
And then maybe we can see this. We're ready.
Well, I just, again, I would like that to be a topic that we get to see before maybe it goes to the full board, if that's okay.
Understood.
All right.
One other thing I'm curious about is our allocation for CDBG money. I know that we haven't had an increase in like God forever, and I would really like to talk about how we get some additional money for CDBG from Congress. That's, if I'm correct, Hans. Okay.
Say all of that funding is from grants.
It's federal money.
Right, but it comes,
So, and
It is.
my understanding is Hans is very diligent in finding those funds.
Yes.
well, but I think that there's something that, at least through our networking with our congressional reps, that it's, we haven't had an increase on that commission in how many years?
I was gonna say, that's something then that should be added to the legislative agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, and we looked at each other. So Lou, I would tell you that needs to be a different committee and different aspect, if that's what you're asking to do.
Great. I'll talk to you about
And
it
that just
later.
falls under the kind of precip, unless you want to make a subcategory of asking for, investigating all available funds that the county can gain access to. We already have that as a kind of a
Okay.
principle.
Yeah, wherever it goes, because we know that our aging population is significantly growing, and I just feel like we're not getting our fair share of money from Congress for CDBG. That's HUD money, and so but anyway, okay, thank you. I'll talk to you offline about it.
Yeah.
I actually have a topic too, since we are public health. I would like to know the percentage of the people in our county who are who use public health for immunizations, and it doesn't have to be just our public health department. It could be some of the organizations that work with our health department for immunizations, diabetes care, obesity, and then communicable diseases. So, those are some of the main services that our health department works with. So I think it would be interesting to see what percentage of our county uses those services and what percentage could be using them. I think it would look to the overall health also of our county.
Kelly, you kind of noted that there's others providing those services beyond our health department. So it's really who's working as an FQHC in some manner, and I can ask Melissa to get us some numbers in that respect. The second question though is who could be and who isn't. That may be trickier, but I'll give her that challenge.
Okay.
And just remind everybody that that's one of the reasons why we just approved, new software to, obtain all of that data and have that much more available. So it's exactly for these kinds of instances that she needed that improvement.
Yeah, just overall health of our community and if it's increasing or decreasing.
Didn't the public health just last year present that survey they did on the health and well-being of McHenry County?
You're thinking what I'm thinking, Lou, and I will look into that with Melissa.
Yeah, I think I was at a presentation where they talked about all that. I saw the report.
Okay, well, I think this gives us a pretty good list to start out with. And, as usual, as things come up, we'll maybe add them to the list. So with that, I don't see any reason for executive session, so I ask for a motion for adjournment. Ms. Althoff.
Second.
Ms. Van Hoek. All those in favor?
I do.
Aye.
Aye.
Against?